Hello and welcome to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all the week's video game stories and news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. I never get that thing right, never mind.
It's hard to say. We did change it after like 300 episodes as well because we were saying it wrong ourselves, but that happens.
Moving swiftly on. I've got a full house this week. Chris, you back?
How are you feeling? Baby. Bit achy, bit sore. Someone sliced and diced me.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't you this time.
Bugs.
It wasn't bugs. No, it certainly wasn't. But yeah, I'm back. I'm currently off work recovering, but I'm not like, it's weird because like you get a sick note, but then I'm not like ill recovery. Like part of my recovery is to be active and move around and exercise. So it's not one of those where I have to stay in the house and not go anywhere and not be seen in public. But yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I'm about just over a week back after surgery. And I've had a bit of time to just relax, play some games.
Exercise your thumbs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not allowed to lift anything heavy, so the controller's probably the control in a pint is about the maximum I can manage right now. So
what a nice coincidence.
It's quite
I tell you what, like I can lift my daughter, but I can lift the control in a pint, so you do the adulting and I will play games and drink.
I have a doctor's sick note that does literally say that, so it doesn't explicitly say my daughter, but it says heavy lifting. So I'm getting away with it. I played some games, so I'll get into them when we're talking about what we've been playing recently, because more so than usual. But glad to be back. Listened to the show last week, held down the fort really well, and it's been a busy week, so I'm looking forward to this show.
Yeah, it's really good to have you back. Stalwart Richie with us again. Have you lifted anything heavy in the past week?
No, just a pint.
Any invasive surgery?
Nope, no surgery.
Good to hear.
Yes.
Good to hear.
We're recording on Saturday, so this week there is still a chance.
There is. One can hope.
Well, you hope I have to get rushed into emergency surgery tomorrow.
It's like
if it help, if it saves.
With the NHS at the moment, that would be like a really emergency surgery as well.
So like
probably not best to dwell on that.
Yeah.
Well, what we will dwell on is the great show we have lined up for you guys this week. We have some exciting news, which we covered a bit last week, but Xbox Studios going multi-platform in a confirmed way. We have some details from the Nintendo Direct, bringing back some classics and some interesting titles for you Switch users. And the big stalwart, the big heavyweight of the gaming world at the moment, Helldivers 2 continuing to spread managed democracy. So all that and much more. But before I get into that, we've got the usual housekeeping for you to do. As always, please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, notifications, all that very, very nice stuff that helps us with the algorithm and just helps us reach a few more people in the gaming sphere. Follow us on all social channels. We have a great Discord, which is full of chatter at the moment. Gaming rigs are being dropped. Squads are being made up on Helldivers. A nice little community we've got going for you there. And also be sure to check out our merchandise store as well if you want a nice little t-shirt or a mug or some other nice little merchandise which just supports us and makes you look really cool, especially to women.
As a side note for the merchandise as well, I don't know if you guys picked them up, but we now have GamerGuild plushie dolls. So I had a little fiddle around. I had a little fiddle around on it. There's a couple of new additions. I will explicitly say I think there's a sale that goes on maybe beginning this week with 20% off. So anyone out there who's like actively been thinking, I might pick up one or two things, it's about to start. But yeah, we have about like 8 plushie dolls now. There's like a little bear, there's a polar bear, there's a tiger, there's a frog. If that's your bag, I don't know why that would be the selling point for getting some GamerGuildTV merch, but there's a couple of things on there that you might want to have a glance at. Explicitly, there's a new couple of ranges added. So you've got the GamerGuild Rogue Squadron limited edition that's just been added, which is the 3 of us in the Star Wars Rogue Squadron outfits. They look pretty cool, pixelated on a t-shirt. And I think the big thing is we've added a couple of new colours for things like the hoodies and stuff with coloured inlay. So there's a really sick one that I'm looking at getting, which is a black hoodie with the Shield logo on, but it's got like a bright yellow inlet for the hood. It just looks really cool, amongst the usual swag. But I think discounts start soon. I got an email about it, so keep an eye out for discounts.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely take a look if you're interested in a little bit of merch from the Gamer Guild world. On the subject of merch, we actually hit a quite big milestone for the channel. And when I say we, I'm talking in the sense of how America won World War II, whereas I joined like the last kind of back end of this achievement, but I'm going to include myself in the credit. This channel, in all its forms and shows and recordings, has actually hit 400 episodes right now. And Chris, you've got some special news to share around that, right?
Yeah, 400 episodes tallied up across multiple iterations from the Sounds of Stadia podcast through XPass and Talking the PS, the Cloud Quest, all the way through to today with the GamerGuild podcast and the ClickerCast, the ever-returning ClickerCast. Wanted to give away some merch on the back of merch. I can confirm that discount is up and running, by the way, gents, so that there is 20% off everything in the store. It's got 6 days left, so probably by the time you listen to this, if you're not a member, a couple of days left to get on that and get some 20% off.
Yeah. It expires on the 29th of February at 23:59 UTC.
UTC. But if you don't want to spend some money on merchandise, we have a lovely GamerGuild t-shirt. That was one of the original prints from when we launched the new branding to give away to anyone out there. And at some point in today's show, I'm going to let you know how you can win. But yeah, listen along, tune in, and there's a free t-shirt to give away with our fantastic logo on it. So keep tuned, listen out, and if you don't win, there's 20% off for the rest of the week.
You know what? If you're an OG listener, we do have some Sounds of Stadium merch in the store as well.
There you go. Get a relic. Get something that's going to increase in value for scarcity. Don't worry, Chris. I don't think you have one of those really scary kind of, you phone somebody up and they have to shout, "Show me the money" down the phone on like the radio style.
Show me the money.
Nothing like that.
That's
Nothing
good.
like that.
That's good.
Or
Actually,
do I?
I listened to I heard like a funny story from a friend of a friend this week who works in healthcare, and she it's her job to phone people to give them news. And she phoned somebody, and he just started shouting down the phone at her, "Show me the money!" And she had to just say, "No, you haven't won it.
You've got syphilis."
Yeah, type of thing. Which is just a painful experience to have to do. But anyway, I completely digress. Let's get back onto gaming and away from
venereal diseases
situations. Let's jump into what we've been playing. Richie, give us some titles. What's taking your time up this week?
I've played quite a few things this week, actually, because I was playing Persona 3, but to be honest, after about 20 hours, I felt like the game kept hinting that the story was about to start, but never seemed to get going, and eventually I was enjoying the gameplay loop at first when I think, okay, it's just having a bit of a long intro, because I know from Persona 5, mechanically it has a bit of an extended tutorial. So I was playing, as I'm waiting for the story to really kick in, and eventually I just give up. So I've binned off Persona 3. Unfortunately, it just didn't click for me. So then I was like, what do I play next? And I was just looking through my PlayStation Plus library and remember Chris mentioning Alan Wake, and I was like, I want something small and manageable to play before I jump into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Alan Wake seemed to be a perfect fit. This is the first one. So I started playing that, but I actually started playing that with my girlfriend, so now I'm also playing Assassin's Creed 2.
Assassin's Creed 2? Okay.
Which is just, that's a complete divergence. But that came about because me and her talking about going to Rome. And I just saw it. Oh, I haven't played that. And I do like the old Assassin's Creed. As much as I bemoan Ubisoft, I do enjoy Assassin's Creed when I play it.
Wait, so you haven't
played
number
I've played
2?
it. No, I have played it. I'm playing it again. I picked that because it's something because I'm playing now Alan Wake with my girlfriend. Assassin's Creed is just one of them games where I could just drop and not care about.
Yeah.
So it's just daft fun to tide me over.
Nice. Is number 2 where it has the villa mechanic where you kind of bring your town back to life? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, well, number 2 is where it's the first one with Ezio.
That's
so
right.
You start off as Ezio, and then you do go to the villa, and you do build up the villa as you go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Pretty much like the high point of the series in lots of people's eyes, right?
Yeah,
with
Mario. Yeah, the mechanics are janky as hell. I've got a few screenshots and stuff that are just quite hilarious to show kind of how rough around the edges the game was back then. But it's almost because it is an old game, it's kind of charming in a way, apart from when he just randomly jumps off a building for no reason.
Yeah,
you know, when you're climbing up and he just launches. Like,
it's like so many times.
Yeah. I still love the sentence. I still love the sentence. Oh, you know,
it's me and Mario.
No, it's like I got 20 hours into a game and the story just didn't go anywhere. Like that's a ridiculous thing to like.
Well,
to say
I know Persona is a bit of a slow burn to get going. That's why I give it that long, because it's can be quite complex mechanically with the way it works. So I thought, it's keeping the story very light and hinting at planting a few seeds, introducing characters, while it's getting you through this kind of getting you into the gameplay loop. But then the main narrative just never really seemed to pick up. It's like, I still do not know any antagonists.
Yeah,
like none, just none. It's not like it's not a single character that I've been introduced and go, that guy looks to me like he's going to be an antagonist. I've got nothing.
Yeah,
that's how dead the story is. Yeah, that's how dead the story was for me. It may pick up eventually. I might be only a couple of hours away, but eventually I was just like, I've give it a good shot, and it just...
Yeah, I mean, 30 hours to wait for a story to happen, it seems a bit excessive.
I think you have to remember, though, with Persona 3, it was originally a PSP game, so that might have been by design, where it's people are expecting you to play more while you're commuting and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really till Persona 5 it really took off in the West. So it might just be, that's just what the game is.
But you'll never know because it's gone to the backlog now. Chris, I know a couple of answers from you this week. Obviously, we jumped into Helldivers 2 on our weekly live stream last night at the time of recording, but last Friday for listeners on Monday and beyond. You've also taken a quick look into Spec Ops The Line, right? That's about to drop on the channel.
Yeah, so Spec Ops The Line, I've been keen to get back to another kind of like retrospective look. I know I did 007 Bloodstone probably about a few months ago now, so I was keen to boot up the old PlayStation 3 and see what a different game was like. And one thing that came to my mind was recently, I think we covered it on the show, Spec Ops The Line was delisted from the Steam library store, so you can no longer buy it on PC. And by nature of it being a PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era game, it's not available on storefronts either there, so you've literally got physical disc copies to get hold of. So you can imagine the price of these on eBay has shot through the roof. I got in before the hype started and actually picked one up for £11 on PlayStation 3. So I've got the disc copy. I realised when I bought the disc copy, I also had it on digital on my PS3 library as well, so I actually have it in two forms now. But yeah, Spec Ops The Line is it's got like a cult classic, so it's like the 10th entry in the Spec Ops series, and I don't recall ever playing a Spec Ops game. However, the 10th entry in the series, I think there were very different games until this one came around.
I've only ever heard of this one.
Yeah, I think there were more just like AA shooters or something, or like Medal of Honor like attempts and stuff, but this is the first one that kind of really embraced story and something different. And the reason it's got a cult classic following is the content, like the story around it. So in a nutshell, without going too much into it, it's based in Dubai after like a massive sandstorm basically eradicates the whole city. And I'm talking sand like the height of skyscrapers. So it's not just like blown through. I'm talking full on like 50 stories up in the air, like Burj Khalifa pretty much buried, that kind of setup. And relief workers go in, army workers to kind of like help people escape and not sanctions, freedom and stuff like that. Get them out. Not quite Helldivers freedom, Rob, but more the making sure they're alive and well, and all countries obviously chipping in. So they're sending like a military, like American military platoon, and your squad basically, many years detached from this, is sent in because a distress beacon goes off, and you're sent in, and then you quickly realise that basically the soldiers that were left there have decided that the city's theirs, and they're going full out rogue mercenary and taking it over. And they've captured some civilians, they control the water, the communications, the government essentially doesn't exist anymore. So they own the entire city of Dubai in the hell of this sandstorm. Famine, murder, no crime. You can imagine what happens in when society breaks down. And you go in there, voiced by Nolan North, the main guy, so it does feel almost like an Uncharted spin-off. It's like Nathan Drake's early years when he was in the army and learning to shoot and kill. But yeah, it's over-the-shoulder third person. But the kind of story, because it gets into it, it's like American soldiers killing American soldiers, and I think the game got a bit of like a wash to the side because the market kind of didn't like the story, because you can imagine you would get quite defensive if you were in the military.
if I remember rightly, like after like 9/11, everything like Call of Duty, Battlefront, everything Battlefield, kind of Medal of Honor kind of went very kind of jingoistic in some ways towards the Americans. So everything was set. The Middle East was the bad guys, Americans were the good guys. Where Spec Ops, if I'm thinking
2012,
rightly, wasn't that the one that whereas actually went, no, we're going to be a bit more truthful to the reality of war. So like this show that ambiguity, like bad shit happens.
Yeah, there's a good obviously
there's no sides necessary good, no sides necessary bad.
It's like survival tactics. So like when you get in there, like when your platoon shit hits the fan, it's almost like they actively talk about saying like we're killing our own soldiers, but then it's like but they're also shooting at us, so we need to survive. And then there's some decisions that you have to make. The game forces you to make, and there's stuff that happens with like phosphorus gas and everything. That's again we all know isn't used in warfare. It's the white
phosphorus. That's the thing I remember.
So it's heavily like criticised, but it's telling a really compelling story, and at the same time, I can
criticized? See. I think it's one of them. I think in the time it was criticised because it wasn't straight up like, I don't know, eagle flag and whatever, full on American like war propaganda. But I think it's become a cult classic after it because of kind of the way it kind of tackles the issues and like, just because you're a soldier necessarily on the good, quote unquote, good side doesn't mean you are a good person.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of really treading difficult territory.
Yeah, and it does it really well
as well. Like I guess like the gaming market's matured a bit, where maybe it can handle those themes now, whereas it couldn't have done. You know, how old's the game now? Sorry, 2012.
12 years.
Yeah, so you know, like the main audience for gaming has matured. Well, I'd hope it's matured.
And the world's not in full on shock from 9/11 still. Like,
out of interest, Chris, is Spec Ops the series that we used to play when we were younger, where they had like the Desert Storm?
No, you're thinking Conflict Desert Storm, Conflict Vietnam.
Yeah.
Similar kind of gameplay, I would say, definitely similar gameplay. Like you use your squad mates to kind of like you can send them forward to take down or flashbang people to kind of help maneuver yourself around the battlefield. But yeah, the actual kind of gameplay itself is just like really fun. Definitely recommend it if you can pick this one up and check it out. It is very much like a cover third-person shooter, but for the sake of anyone who does want to check it out, it's the first looks up on the channel now, premiered today on Saturday, so like episode 1 is out
premiering
now.
At the time of recording.
Literally right now.
As we start recording.
And part 2 is already up for our Gamer Guild Heroes, so the members of the channel, if you're not a member, 99p, you can get episode 2 right now, watch them both back to back. Episode 3 will probably be up by the end of next week for members, so trying to get it out a little bit early for our members so they get some benefit from it. But yeah, overall it's just really fun. Story's compelling. Definitely recommend it if you've got a PS3 sitting about, because again the rarity of this game, even though it has a cult following, is arguably only going to go up in stock, and by nature of what we've discussed there, I very much doubt it's in for a remaster or anything anytime soon. So snag it whilst you can, gentlemen.
Out of interest, have you checked the price? No,
not now. No, so I got it like 2 weeks ago for 11 quid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it is in a few months. But yeah, if that seems interesting to you guys, then have a dig around on eBay. Great game shops aren't a thing anymore doing secondhand games, as we talked about a few weeks ago. So it's gonna be a hard one to find, but good luck. Yeah, for myself, it's all been dedicated to Helldivers 2 this week. I just fucking love this game, and there's nothing more I can really say about it. Don't you laugh, Richie? You've already played it. You don't get to show emotion for this section of the conversation.
Fine, I'll shut up.
Yeah, you should. You dirty democracy-hating traitor.
You automaton.
Yeah. Feel bad, Richie. But yeah.
Sits there with his head in shame.
We live streamed it this week. We live streamed it last week. So 2 weeks on the trot. I feel like it's going to be a consistent kind of addition to the schedule, and there's also some people in our Discord looking to join the squad. So if you do want to jump in with us, get on the Discord, and we'll fight the bugs in our automaton mess together. Okay, we talked a lot about games, what we're playing, and general housekeeping. I think it's time that we jump straight head first into the news. So, Chris, because Richie still is not off the quiet step, could you introduce us to the
the graciously gathered Gamer Guild Gazette, aka the news.
The news.
Welcome back, Richie. It's good to have you. Okay, as always, the news is brought to you by our guild heroes, those extra special people in our community who have decided off their own backs to just support us a little bit more with a recurring subscription. We love all you guys and we always appreciate the support. If you do want to throw your lot in with those wonderful people, then feel free. The join link is right under the video you are watching now. Or hop over to YouTube if you are watching on audio services. Okay, first news story of the week. We speculated on it quite a lot last week, Richie and myself, but it's all been kind of confirmed with basically exactly what we talked about, and that is the news that Xbox has confirmed that 4 of its kind of first-party titles are now going multi-platform, and those titles are Grounded, which is hitting PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 and Switch with crossplay from April the 16th. We have Sea of Thieves on PlayStation 5, again with crossplay at the end of April. Hi-Fi Rush is coming to PlayStation 5 on the 22nd of March, but not to the Switch for whatever reason. That's kind of an interesting, I don't know, just caveat to all of this. It seems like it's not kind of a blanket release. And then we've also got Pentiment coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 and Switch. And it actually dropped, was it the 22nd it dropped? Pretty much.
Yeah, it was straight after the Direct.
Yeah. So again, the 4 titles which we kind of confirmed and we covered fairly heavily last week. Chris, what's your thoughts on this? Obviously, you kind of missed the discussion last week on this one.
Yeah, so we knew from the Xbox business event, the podcast that they hosted, where Phil and everyone got together and kind of chatted very, very tongue-in-cheek, where it was almost like, we're going to talk for 20 minutes but not really say anything new. In a weird way, and it was kind of like, we all just like said what everyone knew, but I think it did well to kind of quell the fires a little bit that were being stoked around the future of Xbox. I think if anything, it just committed to, we're doing hardware, we're doing games, but looking at the industry and kind of what we've said on this show for many, many years now, that it's evolving, and with cloud gaming and mobile and and I think that's the key thing. I think Matt Booty said it in the actual podcast where he said, games are the platform now. Platforms aren't the platform. Game, like kids, like the generations coming through today's younger gamer, they don't look at the consoles as a platform. They don't see that. They just say Fortnite is a game that they play on the phone, they play on the console, they play around with friends. Regardless of the box that's powering it, they just see the game. And they also covered, like, we've reached a saturation point on certain titles. And I think this list of games are those exact titles where Xbox have extrapolated more than enough, if not all the juice they can out of these particular titles. So why not give them a new player base and bring in cash, so Xbox can then reinvest in these studios to bring. If you like these 4 games, you might get sequels if they do well on if they suddenly get a boost and make another 50 million or something off secondary consoles or PC or whatever. Then that's only a good thing. And again, anyone who's pissed off about all this, if you enjoyed Sea of Thieves and you put 400 hours into it and you're the biggest pirate out there, you can still do that. It just means that your servers will now be boosted by potentially millions new people who you can go and kick their ass because you're an experienced veteran.
You can destroy.
But
enjoy
Chris,
it.
They'll be using a different colour control. They'll be using the PlayStation controller, not an Xbox One.
Damn,
so don't
give it another 10 years and they'll be all doing it on mobile with the fingertips and they'll be getting your ass.
I don't get why people are so like gated with the platform of choice. Like, I can't believe the game I like is getting played by other people.
Yeah, it's very true.
Without going down that rabbit hole. Without going down that rabbit hole, it's definitely like, I do think Xbox needs exclusives, and I think they'll have them. I think like Indiana Jones and whatever, they can be exclusive for a limited time, but as they said in the podcast, once they've reached saturation, them going multi-platform, I don't think that's a problem. I think I'd love Nintendo to do it. I love PlayStation to do it. The reality is, they're not in third place, so they don't need to make these industry-changing moves. I think it's great for Microsoft. I think it works. And anyone doubting them, they're one of the richest companies in the world. They make all these decisions off a lot of metrics, a lot of data, and no doubt they've crunched their numbers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make more money off selling these a la carte on PlayStation and Switch than they do on Xbox with Game Pass. Because Game Pass is a subscription category unto itself, catalog, sorry. But then if you put Hi-Fi Rush, although it's not coming, like you said, Rob, to the Switch, I think it's been saved for the Switch too, personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should
Put
talk
it out
about that
there.
Hi-Fi
Yeah, let's
Rush
get into
actually
it.
briefly, because my theory is it's not a unique theory, but I think Hi-Fi Rush is one of them games because of the art style. It looks like it's easy to run, but I suspect it might actually be quite difficult to run. So Xbox Series S handles it fine, but that's quite a lot more powerful than the Switch.
Yeah.
The Switch, when it came out, was effectively outdated mobile phone hardware at the time of launch. So it might just be the Switch, the current iteration of the Switch, cannot handle the game.
Yeah.
Even though, because it looks cartoony, it doesn't look that difficult to run. It might be one of them where it's actually might be harder to run than like something that looks almost photorealistic.
Yeah.
When you think about the lighting choices and the music and all the stuff that goes into it.
The reality with
And
it
the
is
fact that it is such a fast frame
Yeah.
rate to keep it smooth.
it needs that beat because the whole game is centered around that music and hitting that beat, like Guitar Hero style, on the money. So if it's got dodgy frame rate, or they can't get it to run smooth.
If they can only get it to
worth
maybe
putting out.
28 frames per second, 27, 28, it might not feel good to play because it feels it's a game where it might not need 60 frames per second to look good, but to feel good to play, you might need it.
Yeah, I
a
think
good point.
Switch 2 launch title.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that sounds solid. But
But,
I think go back to your point, because I think you're right when it comes to as much as we can talk about Microsoft's decisions when it comes to hardware and how they've handled like the Xbox as a console, like they know software, and at the end of like games are software, and like they know the shit when it comes to this. So I think I think it's a good decision by them, which was I guess blew out proportion by the game sphere more than anything else, right?
I mean, it really is, and it goes back to like if you just take a step back and pull your head out of whichever brands your favoured brands ask for a few minutes and just look at it. Like PlayStation publish MLB The Show on Xbox every year now, and it goes straight into Xbox. That's made by a PlayStation first-party studio.
Yeah.
No one talks about it, but it happens. They own Bungie, who make Destiny. Destiny's still multi-platform on Xbox. No one talks about it. And it's just almost like it is happening the other way, but just not to such a degree because Sony aren't in last place, so they don't need to do as much work.
And again, if we go back to like what we talked about last week, me and Rob, it's their first big tentpole first-party titles are not coming day and date to other platforms. They confirmed that. Indiana Jones will not be coming to other platforms at launch. Then they stop short of saying it'll never come. It might be a year, it might be 6 months, it might be 4 or 5 years. I think it will. I think they're taking quite a pragmatic approach where they're looking at games on an individual basis and go, at what point does it make sense? At what point is it worth? At what point? Yeah, there's a gatekeeping point where it's like gatekeeping this on our platform draws people to our platform, but as that tails off, at what point does it make sense to go, oh, you guys can have it now?
Yeah.
It's not, you're not getting anyone else coming, like Sea of Thieves. No one's coming to the Xbox now to play Sea of Thieves. If you're interested in Sea of Thieves, you're already playing it.
Yeah. You mean you're not playing Skull and Bones, Ubisoft's recently launched title?
Quadruple A.
Yeah.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
I would rather go play Sea of Thieves on my PS5 than Skull and
100%.
Bones on my PS5.
100%.
So
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
go
it's just
figure that
it's not a good look, is it? But
Yeah. And you also sea legs.
Get some sea legs.
But
Agreed.
I think Hi-Fi Rush not being on the Switch is the odd outlier. However, Grounded being on the Switch, I think that's such a Nintendo-style game, Grounded. And I think with the
Grounded would
120
do well.
million Switches in the wild, that game's going to see such a boon. Especially because it was made by like 15 people. There's like a little side team at Obsidian,
I really
which is
enjoyed Grounded.
amazing. So did I.
What we played Grounded was fun, but it's a survival game and you could lose it's one of them you could easily lose yourself into, like Power Welders at the moment, where it's like I actively choose not to play these games for too long because I don't want it to overtake my life. I've got other games I'd rather be playing. But they're nice as a little. I did it with Lego Fortnite back in December, where I had like a week or two where I played a lot of Lego Fortnite and then went right, I'm out.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Now I'm going off.
Yeah, but I saw a couple of people online saying like, "Oh, it's so weird to see like Microsoft Corporation on the PlayStation Store for Pentiment," and it was like, "Well, dude, just go look at Minecraft, probably Call of Duty imminently, Overwatch, Diablo. They're all going to say
it's because it's a new franchise, it's a new title, where things like Minecraft are established on the platform before Microsoft bought them.
And
I think it's like MLB's a show gone the other way. I think that gets a pass almost in people's mind because it's a sports game.
Yeah. Well, MLB forced the hand with that one. Sony didn't want to. MLB were like, no, if you want to make this game, you need to put it on
if you want the MLB license, you have to make it multi-platform. But
it's interesting because I think it could go both ways. Where I do think we said it on other shows, but I do think Indiana Jones and Blade will go multi-platform because I don't think Disney would want that gate kept behind Game Pass because Disney's cut of that money if it ain't on PlayStation or whatever.
But eventually.
Eventually, not day one. But then I think this sets a good precedence for, I think a lot of us were maybe worried about like Bethesda titles in the future. So I think like when Elder Scrolls 6 eventually comes around to it, I think there's such an existing fan base on PlayStation. I think they're worried things like that and Doom perhaps weren't going to come over. And I think this sets a good cadence that actually you will see the next Doom game on the PS5. You will see the Elder Scrolls on the PS5 or 6 whenever it comes out. And I think that's a good precedence for gamers. Gamers collectively win at that.
But guess what? If you're an Xbox fan, you probably have Game Pass. If you're an Xbox fan and you don't have Game Pass, you're an idiot. Get Game Pass.
Yeah.
And you'll have it day and day. There you go.
Yeah. So where's the problem? You get it for day one, cheaper, free. They pay $70.
And then eventually the Sony ponies will basically will effectively fund the next game in the series for you.
So laugh at that. But 4 great games, 4 new IP, which we should credit them for as well. And hopefully all this additional cash coming in from other platforms gets you a Hi-Fi Rush 2, gets you a Grounded sequel, gets you Sea of Thieves DLC for the next decade, because you're not playing Skull and Bones.
Yeah, and if it's a concept that people can't grasp, just remember that you can install Microsoft Office on every single Mac on the entire planet.
It's a deep cut, Rob.
Well, it's just a simple concept. Which Microsoft know. So you might not be getting Hi-Fi Rush on Nintendo Switch, but there is a hell of a lot of more titles coming out in 2024, which is what the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase unveiled to us middle of last week. Now, there was a hell of a lot of stuff dropped during this kind of event, which I'm not going to go into every kind of detailed game because we'd be here basically all night, and I'm sure our respective partners would not appreciate that, to be honest. But I think we'll just highlight a few things that jump out to each of us. Now, I'm going to be lost on this section of the show, to be honest, because I'm not in the Nintendo ecosystem, so the only real things that jump out to me are obviously the titles which we already talked about from the Xbox side of things, which are coming over, and then it's the big franchises. So it's Star Wars Battlefront Collection on March 14th, which looks fantastic and is dropping on multi-platforms. And then South Park, I'm still kind of curious about that Snow Day game and what's going on there. And Epic Mickey simply because of Disney. So at this point, I'm going to hand over. Richie, let's start off with you. You're probably deeper into the Nintendo system, ecosystem than any of us. What's popping out for you?
Nothing. Honestly, I watched the show direct, and I couldn't remember any of it. It just all blurred into one. Nothing really jumped out. I honestly couldn't even remember Star Wars Battlefront being in there till I kind of was reading up later. So it's it just because I think it was one of them because it was only 20 minutes, and it chucked a lot out there.
It was too busy just for the time.
It was too busy, and nothing was memorable. The one thing that I think was a bit of a miss, actually, for me, was the Rare Classics. So if you think of Rare games and you think of Nintendo, you think of N64. You think of an N64 game that isn't first party, it's probably Rare. That's not what Rare Classics is, so.
What is it? Fill us in on what Rare Classics actually is, because I think this is went off my head a little bit. So
Rare Classics, it's kind of some older stuff that feels like pre-Nintendo 64. So growing up with as a big Nintendo 64 fan, literally have one on the shelf behind me. I'm looking forward to things like, your Banjo-Kazooies, your GoldenEyes, your Perfect Darks, things like Donkey Kong was published by Rare. So there's all these kind of classic N64 games that were published and produced by Rare. The Rare Classics collection seems to be dated before then. So it's older than before. It was before Rare really became who we remember them to be. So it's just one that it feels like a bit of a miss. It's like, oh yeah, and it was like the one last thing as well. So it's like, oh yeah, we're bringing rare classics, and it's not the games we wanted.
Yeah, PC Pro Am and Battletoads, Battlemania, and Snake Rock and Roll, or Snake and Roll, I think it was.
Yeah. I think most people only know Battletoads because of the online meme prank, which people did.
I think Blast Corps, I remember being an N64 title, but all the rest are like SNES and before. So Battletoads, yeah, again, but that doesn't feel like a big get for Nintendo at this point. I'm pretty sure Battletoads might already be on Switch Online as not part of the Rare Classics. It just feels like a miss.
Okay, so as the biggest Nintendo fan, it's not doing anything for you. Chris, what about yourself?
My hype came from, again, it's a collective hype, because I think if you take the Microsoft news in with it, that Pentiment drop day one, Grounded's coming, I think there's some like huge titles in there. Arguably the Xbox stuff was actually the biggest news there.
Yeah, I would say that, but
like
for this part of the conversation,
taking that into account. For me, I think taking a look at this, we tempered our expectations because we knew it wasn't going to be a Switch announcement, because they said front and foremost it was a partner direct. So it was like, right, okay, this is just their relationships. It's kind of like when PlayStation do their state of plays and they like preempt everyone and say like, look, this isn't a PlayStation showcase, this is a state of play. We'll be talking about VR boring shit that you're not interested in. We'll be talking about our second buy. Suicide Squad will be there because we've got to deal with Warner Brothers for marketing. Like it felt like one of them showcases. So like Xbox stuff aside, for me there's a couple of things that stood out, but not because I want to play them on Switch, because I'll probably play them elsewhere when they eventually come to other platforms. Epic Mickey, just because I'm a big Disney fan. I remember playing the original way back when with my I think me and the family had it on the Wii, and it used the joysticks a little bit. Yeah. I did think it's a bit ironic that after the Disney and Epic deal that we talked about 2 weeks ago, we get Disney's Epic Mickey. There's just a bit of an irony in there with the naming convention. But this is
Mickey Mouse being like what's it called? What's it called? No, because Disney don't own the rights to it anymore, do they?
Public domain.
Public domain, yeah.
Yeah, they do. It's the original black and white Steamboat Willie version of Mickey that you can use. Every other one you'd get totally sued out the ass for. So just anyone be careful out there. But yeah, in terms of this one, it's just like a whimsical. I'd say if it was a Lego game, it's pretty much just a Lego game, but not Lego. You go around a world in a 3D space, complete puzzles, cover things in paint. So like Lego meets Splatoon, maybe. I remember playing the Epic Mickey 2, I think, where they brought back the rabbit. I can't remember what the rabbit's name was, but either way, without digressing too much, it's a remaster of essentially a older game that I think Disney are just utilising the brand of Mickey Mouse to like get probably kids and families. And if it looks cute, if it's on the Nintendo Switch, that's the right place for it. And this is one that I'd probably check out with the wife just because we're both big Disney fans. So yeah, thoroughly check that one out. I think you said the collective stuff in there, the South Park game. Don't have a clue what this game still really is.
I like South Park. I just don't trust THQ Nordic to produce a good game at the moment. That's my concern. It's very much I'm waiting on reviews, but I'm expecting it to be a flop. That's where I stand with THQ Nordic at the moment, because that tends to be what happens with their games at the moment.
Mm. Yeah,
a few rare exceptions.
Yeah, like the trailer's not inspiring confidence in it, is it really? It seems very, I don't know, it seems about 10-year-old on the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a AA game but actually really fun to play, we could have a blast with it. It's a 4-player co-op game, so there could be a good stream in there or something. But it's not. It's like one of them. Just because it's a South Park IP doesn't mean I'm interested in the game, and the game hasn't given me a reason to be interested in it other than the South Park IP. If you took away the South Park IP, I wouldn't even be talking about this right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would, right?
Yeah.
Snow day. Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
And then everything else in and amongst that is just a lot of like, I would say, typical Nintendo Switch games, basically, like shovelware almost. Like I know they're not, but they just don't do anything for my tastes.
Part of me, I think the reason why I was probably so kind of met about the whole thing is I don't care about the Switch anymore. I want to know details about the Switch too.
I was going to say, actually, this feels like
if you're not giving me
Switch
a big
announcements.
if you're not giving me a big first party that turns my head, these sort of games, like I can probably pick these up on other platforms that I'm probably not going to get put in a box by the end of the year and just left until I find them in a few years time. That's where I feel with my Switch. It's like if it's not a big title that's going to go, you need this as a must play, then I don't know. I've almost retired it in my mind a bit already.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest outlier for us all, and for me especially, has got to be Star Wars Battlefront collection, bringing us Battlefront 1, the original, not the remake, and Battlefront 2, with 64-player online multiplayer, all the original maps, the bonus content, and this is just kind of it. It has me in two modes. Like, one, these games are absolute classics. I spend so many hours playing these, like just with my brother with Galactic Conquest mode, which is like the skirmish campaign, the story campaign, reliving like Order 66, playing as the troopers and the heroes, just absolutely amazing. And then it also makes me begrudge that EA messed up Star Wars Battlefront 2 remake with so many microtransactions that game isn't just a platform. Like, how is Star Wars Battlefront not just a platform in the same
plays well?
Yeah, like we're playing, like me and Rob are raving over Helldivers at the moment, and like we're talking Star Wars here. Like Battlefront, we said time and time again, Richie, on other shows that Battlefront should be Battlefront Galaxies or whatever you want to call it, and it should just be when the new Mandalorian drops on Disney Plus, there's a Mandalorian season with all the Mandalorian kits and armor, and you fight on Mandalore, and that's the cool thing. When there's a new movie coming out, it ties in with that. Different pack drops and bonus XP weekends, different maps, and just going through the entire saga of Star Wars, there's enough there. And also the game's fun as hell, like hero mode and playing as the troops and everything. It's so fun, and yet they fucked it up that much that they've decided to go back once again and repackage the originals, which are timeless because there's no microtransactions. That's why they're so good.
Do you know something as well, Chris? We actually have a launch date for that. It's 14th of March, and it's not on Switch only. You can get it on PlayStation or Xbox.
Exactly, which is where I would prefer to play it.
Yeah,
100%.
That's what I mean. It's like, even if I was interested, I'm not really particularly that. I don't have any real history of Battlefront, so it's not like one of them that's jumping out at me as a nostalgia thing. But because I know it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox, I think there's a good chance down the line this comes to Game Pass or PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So because I don't need to play this straight away, I can wait. I can buy my time. And it's only likely to get cheaper. It's £26.09 at the moment as a pre-order on the PlayStation Store. It's actually on sale with PlayStation Plus 10%, so it should be $28.99. So, but I think that's only going to go down in price.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to the campaign on Battlefront 2, the Final First campaign. That was a brilliant.
What, the original Battlefront 2 or the remake?
The original Battlefront 2. So you start off as a clone trooper for the Republic, and then you follow like Vader's regiment as they turn into stormtroopers, which is like really, really interesting.
Yeah. So good.
But yeah.
Because in the second Battlefront 2, there's actually the story campaign generally has some really cool moments in it. But then there's a section in the middle of the story where it almost switches to like a Hero of the Week thing rather than playing as the original character through the story and continue ahead story throughout. You suddenly like, oh, now you're going to play as Lando, now you're going to play as Luke, now you're going to play as Leia, now you're going to play as Han. Like, it feels like almost wedged in there.
Wedged.
When they could have Wedge is probably in it actually.
His Antilles in there.
Yeah. It was like, but no. Battlefront 2 is worth playing.
Yeah.
Both versions, actually.
And 6 hours detached from our earlier conversation, Richie. Iden Verso is the lady who I was.
Iden Verso. We were literally talking about this earlier in the pub.
Yeah. From Project Ember, I think, was the Emperor's plan to basically keep the Empire alive after his death, which is like such a cool concept. And then we got the
first
movies.
few missions. You have the first few missions of her story, like, oh, I'm actually interested in this character. Then it goes away from her for like half the game, then comes back to her at the end. It's like, why didn't you stick with her? You created a cool character.
It is a cool concept, but it's I could see if the price is right or it's on a Game Pass or something. I could see that being our May the 4th Star Wars stream this year. Go back and do some classics because we've done Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. I think we did Battlefront actually 2 maybe last year, but I think going back to the classics would be great. We streamed it.
Definitely played
it.
Yeah.
But so overall, Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, doing what I expected from a partner showcase. But I think, as Richie alluded to, we're all just waiting for the big one, which is like, where's the Switch 2? Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, fans of Nintendo might have a bit more luck come tomorrow if you're listening to this on Monday. So on Tuesday the 27th, we have Pokemon Presents, which is in tandem with Pokemon Day. I think most people are expecting like the next kind of installment of the main game franchise, right? That seems like the kind of the general consensus.
I think it's time,
But I think the key question is, does it come to the current Switch, or is it a Switch 2 kind of tie-in launch title?
I think it'll be cross-gen.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling if we're expecting the Switch 2 next year, basically in the current, like the next financial year from April to April, which I think it sounds about right. I think the Switch launched in February, so if they're going for another February release, it could be literally this time next year that Switch 2 comes. And Pokemon typically comes out in mid-November around my birthday. So if they get the game out at the end of the year, that's the last hurrah for the Switch. They'd be stupid not to have it a cross-gen thing.
Okay.
Has a Pokemon game ever launched with a Nintendo console? Like as a pack-in, or do they always go with a Mario as like the safe bet, like a Mario Kart, Mario something or other?
They didn't even go with Mario for the Switch.
Odyssey
was Zelda. Launch. They came out like 6 months later.
Oh, was it?
Like Zelda, it was Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was actually cross-gen.
What about Mario Kart? Was that deluxe packed in with it?
Yeah, but that was a Wii U game that was remastered and ported over.
I'm thinking of like what they put on the shelf on the box to get everyone to buy it when it launches.
Yeah, a Pokemon game would be a good. I don't think there's a precedent off the top of my head, but if there is, it's a smart move. It's like the biggest. It is the biggest media franchise in the world, so it's not exactly a bad move.
Yeah.
I mean, what alternatives do we think might be aside from like a mainline game? Because it's only been, what, is it 2022 was the Scarlet Violet?
Yeah, they've got a couple, but it used to be every year. It used to be in every year mainline. So they've got a couple of SKUs. You've got your mainline games, you got your remakes, where they're slowly been remaking every title, where last time it was Diamond and Pearl, so the next generation will be Black and White, which were Nintendo DS titles. So that's two SKUs. They've got the Let's Go SKU, where they've only done Pikachu and Eevee. They could do a Generation 2 kind of remake through the Let's Go thing.
What would be your Generation 2 Let's Go? Would it be Togepi and someone else?
Yeah, it could be
Wobbuffet. Is that the annoying blue one?
I mean, you pick better choices than maybe Wobbuffet, but yeah, that's that kind of thing. Or you could go with like an Arceus 2. Yeah, or could throw out something completely different. Pokemon Sleep 2.
Oh dear.
What do you want more than anything, Richie? What would be your ideal announcement?
My ideal would be, we're announcing the Switch 2. We're using this to... Actually, no, they're not going to announce the Switch 2. But my ideal would be, we're going to announce a new mainline Pokemon game for this end of this year, and they're going to show it's going to look amazing, clearly better than the Switch can run. But they also walk back on some of the open world stuff they did this time, because
they'll have guns.
I know with Pokemon it's always kind of been a bit open world, but I think I found Scarlet and Violet too open, and I found my Pokemon get massively over leveled as I was exploring the world, and I ended up not completing the game because I just got bored because everything was one shot kills, and I felt the balance was off. And that's before even taking the glitchy brokenness of the game. I felt fundamentally the design of the game just didn't work for me anymore.
So they have some work to do to kind of win your favour back almost, would you say?
Well, I am a lifelong Pokemon fan, so it's not going to be a huge amount of work to win me back. But if they show me a game that gets me excited, I'll buy it.
Fair play. What about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I'm solely in the Pokemon camp when it comes to reasons to own a Switch. I think that for me is like, it's the portability factor, but then also like Pokemon. And I was burnt a little bit on, as Richie said, Scarlet and Violet, where it was full of that many bugs. I'm not talking about canopies and wheels and whatnot, actual like game breaking things where I just lost interest so quick. I think I got it for that Christmas, and my intention usually is like, I'm going to play this and just sit down. And then I got past like maybe the second gym or the main area, and I just waned on it, and I was like, oh well, okay, I guess I'm done for. And usually Pokemon for me lulls for a little bit, and then it'll come back with like a mega hype, and I'll go out and buy the whole 25th anniversary collection card pack and all that. For me, I enjoyed Brilliant Diamond. I think I got the Diamond one because I never played them before on the DS. I think for me it would be Black and White remake because that's like my cadence is I never had a DS or a Advance. So anything beyond Red, Blue, and Yellow, I had this big massive gap. So having a polished remake version of that of Black and White for me would be like that's the next step in my logical reboot playthrough of the Pokemon series. And back to what Richie said, because they are more old school, they're probly more fun compared to the modern ones for me. Anyway.
I feel like Pokemon, Nintendo sometimes do this weird thing where like 15 years ago, everyone was screaming, we want a massive open world Pokemon game. And then they finally did it after the point when people were getting to the point where we're sick of massive open world games. I feel like the older games are a bit tighter because you can't access the whole world immediately. You have to there is more of a tighter narrative throughout that you have to play through. But yeah, I'd be up for Black and White remakes as well.
Aside from games, do we think maybe Detective Pikachu 2 movie stuff? I feel like it's been a good while, and Ryan Reynolds is set it in Wrexham. Get Hugh Jackman involved as a gym leader. He could play Brock, Hugh Jackman.
Well, Hugh Jackman just saves like Pikachu from a bunch of football hooligans, and that's how they team up. And then it breaks into the Deadpool universe as well, and that's the ultimate crossover.
Connected.
What would you do, Rob, if there was like in Detective Pikachu 2, there's just like there's just like cameo after cameo of characters from Always Sunny?
If they could get that past the Nintendo's sign off process, then more power to them.
They've got Ryan Reynolds, so they're flirting with that kind of direction.
I'd love to see Dennis just turn up and try to seduce a Jigglypuff with his system.
Frank just climbs out of a couch in the background of a shot and is just not interested.
Or just climbs out like a Kangaskhan or something.
That's grim, mate.
Moving on.
Oh god, I think we need to move on from Pokemon because otherwise there's going to be lawyers involved.
We went a weird direction with
that. We went dark. Let's get out the darkness and talk about something light on the Xbox side of things. So Xbox is launching a new all-digital Xbox Series X this summer, and it's in white. You know, like that kind of color combination which we've been used to with the Black X and the White S is kind of being broken down a little bit, and we have a all white version, no disc drive option available, coming between June and July this year from Microsoft. They've put like a mock-up of it. It looks pretty nice.
The control looks shit though.
Yeah, I mean the Xbox controller is I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hop back from PlayStation to Xbox, it just feels a bit, I don't know, cheap now, I guess.
So, the Series S controller looks better than the new Series X one.
Yeah. And I can just imagine the grime that's going to accumulate in the white thumbsticks right there.
Mine's actually fairly clean because I use my custom one.
Yeah. Now there is a rumor that it's going to be lower priced than the current model Series X. Now I think we touched on it previously where I think it was you, Chris. I kind of lamented not getting the Series X at the time. Is this something that's going to turn your head slightly?
I mean, I always have that itchy trigger finger. I want to have the best technology and the latest technology, and that's how I usually am. But since I've had my daughter, my spending costs thought process is a little bit different now, and I think genuinely I'll probably sit whatever iterations are out. So I think a Switch 2 would probably be my next big purchase. Mm-hmm.
That's a new platform rather than...
Exactly, yeah. I think because the S is doing such a good job, and I do play the majority of my Xbox stuff on PC or via cloud now, the S is more there just to complement my living room when I want to play something on the big TV as opposed to my screen here or on the move with the cloud. So, and because I'm not that much of like a graphics snob when it comes to it, I think it's great that they're doing it. I'm no doubt just a new marketing push. We know this was leaked anyway, the cylindrical Series X. I know this is a mock-up of a white one. I'm surprised. I would be surprised if it's not the cylindrical one we saw leak from all the Xbox stuff from the FTC court cases. I think, or we might see both. Who knows? You might see the black one as a cylinder and the white one's the cuboid.
Yeah.
Who knows? But again, I think it's another marketing push. I think it has to be cheaper because it's older tech now. And if they keep at that price point in third place, it's risky business. But I think I'll be keeping my money close to my chest maybe until whatever the next new platform becomes. Like Richie said, I think Switch 2, inevitably a PS6, and whatever Microsoft's next thing. Because I think I'll always have the cadence of probably owning all three at some point. It just depends when in the cycle of the generation I pick it up. So, but yeah, still do lament it. I do wish I had an X, but my S is doing a great job so far still.
Yeah. I think I'm the same. I don't know about you, Richie, but I think the Series S is enough for me on Game Pass.
Yeah, if it was my primary console where I play most of my games, I think I might have been swayed, but I still find myself leaning towards the third-party games for my PlayStation. So yeah, I just don't. I can't justify the price of it because I'm quite happy with my Series S and taking that slight step down in quality. Because my Series S is basically my Game Pass box.
Yeah, I think that's for me. That's all it's ever going to be.
Yeah, that's why I bought it. So and I'm very happy with it. So
there's probably an interesting conversation to have for all of us when it comes to our all access contracts being up and our 2 years runs out, and it's like, well, do we pay for Game Pass at £12 a month, or for an extra £8 you could just get this white Series X and keep paying for another 2 years? And then in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm already paying for Game Pass, and I'll probably keep Game Pass. So then for another £8 to have the latest bit of kit sat in my living room for another 2 years, sell my S, make some profit back, and then I'm basically running down another 2 year cut. Like you do with your mobile phones, you just have them on a continuous cycle.
Yeah.
And then this is Microsoft, I guess, getting money in a different way, in a different medium, where I think all three of us are all access users, right? So we're all tied into that ecosystem for 2 years anyway, and the same with mobile phones, is you want people to just re-upgrade, essentially. So they might have me with this console, and I don't even know it yet.
All access it's not necessarily. That's not really a subscription to Microsoft. That full subscription is paid up front.
Yeah.
Then we're in debt to Klarna.
Yeah.
So it works. So else, Microsoft have got the money all up front because Klarna paid them.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, it could
get however that works, but yeah.
And I could just go, I'll get that email that says, oh, you're 30 days out from the end of your subscription. And I go, well, shit, I kind of want to keep Game Pass. So I go, yeah, fine, give me the new X and I'll just plonk it down next to me.
My intention as it stands is to keep Game Pass Ultimate, but I will not be adding another console onto that price. Because I don't feel I need... Because, again, I'm only usually playing on a 1080p TV or screen anyway, so I don't feel the need to get another console to upgrade to the X.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the graphical improvements I'm just not getting anywhere because of display issues. So it's just not worth the investment for me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're all pretty. It looks nice, and it would be a nice addition if you're new to Xbox. But I think we're all kind of happy with where we are at the moment. Jumping back over to the blue side of things, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth the reviews have started dropping for this game, and it's looking pretty universally praised. I think at the time which we're recording, it's the top reviewed game of 2024 according to Metacritic's aggregate system. Generally speaking, it's like all reviews are saying there's a couple of polish points that could be done, but in general it's a very faithful adaptation, particularly noting the places where they've chosen to depart from the original narrative have been praised as places as done very well and done very balanced to kind of enhance the gameplay and experience. So yeah, it seems like what we all expected to be a really kind of worthy addition to this remake series has hit. Richie, I think you're most excited for this, right?
Yes. So as it stands at the time of recording, it currently has 119 reviews on Metacritic for the PS5 version. It's currently sat at a Metascore of 92.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really, really enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake. So the fact that it's coming out and it just pretty much seems like a slam dunk, maybe a few polishing issues as like reviewers got early access copies, which might be fixed by the time people get their hands on it, because that's something that Square have actually talked about. If the only thing reviewers are picking up on is a few little bits of polish here and there, yeah. I mean, like 100%. I was 100% in anyway, but it's nice to go. I'm all in on this game. It's like 92 Metacritic. Yes, I am. Give me this game, please.
Yeah, I think the only slight in terms of an outlier, GameSpot is the outlier, and they give it 8 out of 10, which tells you how like the standard is for the rest of the review kind of platform. So this drops on the 29th for PlayStation 5. Chris, where are you at with this? Do you have a planned time for when you're going to look at it? Or
No, I'm going to sit this one out, I think, until... Again, I haven't played Remake, I didn't play the original. I absolutely adored 16, like we know that many times, but I think I'm going to wait until the trilogy is complete, because I don't think I have it in me to play the first one, then this one, and then be like, oh, now I need to wait 4 more years or something, because I've heard, as good as the reviews are getting, I've heard it does leave it on quite a cliffhanger of like a story beat, which inevitably when you break it up into 3, you're going to get the Hobbit syndrome almost kick in, where it's we have to end it on some kind of crescendo, but we can't give it all away. And having not played the original game, I kind of don't want that lulling over me for several years. So when we get like the ultimate trilogy package, which is no doubt going to be one of the best trilogies of all time on PS6 or whatever it'll be,
it's the way it's shaping up.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it then. But I'll admire this from a distance for a few more years and then bite the bullet on it. But
I'm exactly
happy for everyone enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for the trilogy to drop, because I haven't played the first one. I'm a big fan of the original, and I just want to experience it all, as one story as I remember it.
That's going to be like a 300-hour experience. You do realise that?
That's fine.
So maybe when I retire.
Fine. Yeah.
So
that's all good. But anybody in the comments, let us know how you find the game when you get your hands on it. Join our Discord if you want to have some deeper discussions around that. Next up in our list of stories, all I have here, Chris, is now I don't know how to pronounce this. Is this Be Gone or is it Begone? First impressions.
It says Begone, but that's more just so you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to use this opportunity to actually talk about the giveaway that we mentioned earlier on in the show. So for those listening, watching along, you've been doing so for just over an hour now, so you've stuck it out. So the T-shirt that we mentioned, the GamerGuild T-shirt, you folks are now in with a chance to win this, and all I want you to do in the chat is leave a comment on our YouTube video. If you listen on podcast services, you're going to have to head over to the YouTube video, because that's how we help the algorithm. We force you to comment anywhere. I'd just like you to comment down below whether you're fighting for freedom, democracy, or peace. That's all I want you to do. Leave a comment in the chat. But obviously you can exaggerate and you can talk about other things, and basically how good Helldivers is and why Richie's missing out. But more importantly, if you leave a comment in the YouTube video for this week's show, we're going to pick out one lucky winner. We'll reach out to you, we'll get your address details, and we'll get this T-shirt sent across to you as well. It is a large, so it generally fits like most people. But Rob, Begone, it's in there as Begone. And the reason it's in there, you probably have no idea, but you two talked about it on last week's show, and I tuned in to listen to your discussion on last week's show. It is Banishers Ghosts of New Eden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. You talked about it.
That's the Don't Nod one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you talked about it on last week's show. It's gone under the radar, you said, and it's getting great reviews. And I picked it up last week. As I said, I've been off, so I picked it up. I got it for £47, so like a reasonable price point for a new game. Everything you said last week, Richie, completely true. It's Don't Nod's best game to date. Graphically, it looks pretty close to AAA, but it's just a little bit short of the mark. I would liken this game to Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider reboot, in terms of its exploration. It's like mini pockets of open world meets Plague Tale Innocence. So it's got that like kind of gritty, I I was going to say Plague infested. You know, like the vibe you get from Plague Tale, where it's like a dark and gothic
very
vibe
it's quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's got like a dark well to it. So this story takes place in the 1600s. You are essentially a male-female partnership, lovers, I guess, of banishers who work in the 1600s to basically expel ghosts, demons, hauntings, essentially Ghostbusters of the 17th century. You're going over to New England, where like the Puritans are there, setting up. They've basically killed all the Native Americans. They're taking over, like that kind of jazz. And basically, from Don't Nod's heritage, they do that exact great thing where I'm playing it with my wife at the moment, and we're going around New Eden, and every side story you meet, basically, you discover a haunting, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but the first kind of little side quest, it's not part of the main campaign. We found this dude, lives in the woods, and he basically is a bit sad that his fellow hunter friend who he's out in the woods with, he hasn't found him, he hasn't came back for quite some time. So you go out there into the woods, you find this fog area, which is one of the haunting kind of things you get. You dispel the fog with your female partner. And what happens is you basically find a body, and similar to Arkham Knight, you can use the haunting banisher abilities to replay the echoes of the dead. So what it does is it replays it back like an investigation, so you can listen into the conversation, you can follow the clues, like Batman Arkham games, and then you go back to basically affront them and say, like, did you kill them? Did you do this? And this guy basically killed his friend, he pushed him off a cliffside, and then decided to eat the body. But then,
you're meant to do that.
Well, they're out in the wild and he's starving, so its survival instincts kick in. But he's so ridden with guilt because it was his friend. He doesn't know, like, he doesn't think he's dead, but he's in like total like loss of like denial, absolutely. But then you have a chat with the ghost, and the ghost is like, I was going to kill him anyway, so I don't want revenge or anything. I was going to kill him if he didn't kill me first. So then you go back to the guy, and you're like, dude, you need to admit what you've done, and you get the option to basically kill him, steal his essence, or banish the ghost, or let the ghost ascend. So there's really interesting like moral situations where me and the wife are sat there going, so he's done the wrong thing, but the other guy was going to kill him within a minute or two as well, and he's ate him, but it's survival, so it kind of is weird that he's eating a human, but at the same time, if I was out in the woods and there was a dead body and I was absolutely starving, at one point I probably would resort to cannibalism, like you just would to survive.
Yeah.
And there's so many little side stories that we're coming across where they really make you just put you on the spot and think like, shit, what am I happening? But the biggest crux of this whole thing, and it's not a spoiler, it kind of is, but it's part of the trailers and it's on the box art and it's on the blurb. The girl in your lover relationship, she's dead. She dies at the beginning of the game. So when we're having these side missions, when you can banish someone, the essence can bring your partner back to life. So I'm saying to my wife, I'm like, if you died and you and me were out there, I would want to bring you back to life 100%. So all these fuckers out there eating people and killing people in the woods, I'm killing all of them. But then when you're in the moment, you have to make that decision. You're like, well, he was kind of trying to survive. And they have like really nice characters. Like Don't Nod, dude, great with Life is Strange. Mm-hmm. You buy into the story and like, oh, they don't deserve to die. This person was abused by their partner. This person was on the run from their parents. Like all these like little tiny side stories really making me think. Gameplay is super fun. Well, looks gorgeous. And for £47, this is an absolute bargain. I think it's terrific. I can't recommend it highly enough. I'm having a great time with it, and kind of similar to you going to Plague Tale, Richie, or jumping on Alan Wake now. It's got that like you could probably play it really, really good with a partner, or you could enjoy it really good solo. It's got a skill tree. It's got its mechanics. You're fighting ghosts and demons like God of War style. They pop up out of the ground, and you're like, oh shit, this is a alpha demon or whatever it is, and you fight them, and they possess wolves in the woods and stuff. So there's a bit going on, but basically the whole town's overtaken by a big nightmare. My guess, I haven't got there yet, but it's because they killed all the Native Americans, and the entire plot of land has basically this big stank of haunting on it of like mass murder and shit.
Okay.
But yeah, so Begone is Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and it's great.
Good flag, Richie. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
you go, Richie, because I have a dark thing.
It was one of them things like last week. It's like I was looking at it, I was like, if I saw the reviews and like I've not had the internet seems to be quiet on this game. It's like, but with Don't Nod, I know how good they are at storytelling, especially emotional storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure there's something in this game. I just had a feeling that there's something in there that I want to highlight this game, because it did feel like that was just getting overlooked unfairly, almost.
It's Focus Entertainment, and they tend, as the publisher, and they tend to not do like many big marketing pushes. They tend to see it as like a slow burn win, like with Plague Tale. I could see it going into GamePass some point soon where it get a good boon. But yeah, like they just find the little facts and stuff. Like me and the wife are going through going, every little fact we'll find a little bit of evidence. We're reading like the memos of stuff of people and we're going, they haven't done this, have they? This isn't what, this is little colonial guy hasn't done this. It's like, oh, he's not done that to the kids, has he? And it's like, oh shit, I think he has. And then you have to make those decisions. It's like, fuck you, asshole. But also, and it's really, I don't know if it works the same if you play it on your own, but that moment where the screen pauses and goes, what's your decision? We have like a 10, 15-minute conversation about like what the decision should be. And it's a mixture of Telltale and Dontnod at the finest. And yeah, the game's great.
You know what? I think there's something similar with Alan Wake, where I'm playing at the moment with my girlfriend. I think I'm enjoying it more because I'm playing with her, because we are talking about, what's going on in the story and like trying to piece everything together. Yeah, it adds something.
Like on the subject of decision making, I've spent like the last minute like debating in my head, if I had to eat a part of Richie, what part would I eat? Assuming he's dead, obviously.
Fucking hell, Rob.
What would you do though, Chris? So in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want to
Cannibalism
desecrate
101.
Am I surviving this encounter?
No, you're dead.
No, you're dead.
Yeah,
I'm dead.
So
okay.
it's like,
Do you think he's going to chew on your leg while you're still alive?
Yeah,
or?
this is a debate.
I was like, am I going to lose a limb but survive, and then you just get to eat part of me? I don't know what the situation is.
So it needs to be, obviously, it needs to be edible. Okay, but also like I feel the further like from the extremities you get, the more disrespectful it is to your body. So like speaking purely on on a respect level, like cutting off some like calf would be like the best option. But
I'm gonna say this straight up, Rob. If we're in a survival situation, you kill me, eat the fucking entire thing.
No,
you might as well.
But like if I like cutting a piece of the calf off would be good. But the issue is like calf. I imagine calf's like really tough and not very nice to eat. So then I have to go up the leg,
saute it with some onions.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't want to eat anything of you that's like got a bit too much personality in it,
like his penis.
But so I came to the conclusion that I'd probably take like a part like your hamstrings, bit just because like there's no situation like I wouldn't take an arm because I've seen your arms lots, but I don't.
Is that an insult or is
no? But I just don't.
I've seen your noodle arms. They're not.
I don't really see the back of your legs.
Right,
because
so
I've seen that mostly covered in jeans.
You mean because I got them chunky thighs?
This mostly covered in jeans.
Powerful, manly thighs.
I think that's a good balance between
I've
everything.
got weedy arms because I haven't been in the gym in ages.
Oh. And I don't like particularly like fatty cuts, so like I wouldn't go for like.
You want some lean meat?
Yeah, like get the protein in, right? I have to keep my strength up.
But at what point do you eat his genitalia? Is that like last thing?
I think I'd die. But
I'd rather die beforehand. You know what? I genuinely thought after that you were going to go, you know what, Chris, for the last 10 minutes, you've really sold me on this game and I've been contemplating buying it right now. I've been looking at
You've been thinking about eating me.
Honestly, if, like people who are watching on YouTube, if you look back at like my eyes during that, like Chris's description of that game, like you might see some things that you might not want to see.
So in review
Can
then,
we move on?
In review, 9 out of 10 from Chris, and on the box art it says, "May eat your friend's penis."
Yeah. Hamstrings. Go for hamstrings.
Hamstrings.
Okay, let's move on swiftly and with great reverence.
With less cannibalism.
Yeah, let's talk briefly about the DLC for Elden Ring that's going to drop, which is titled Shadow of the Erd Tree, which I don't know what an Erd Tree is because I'm not in the.
It's the big fucking tree on the box art, and it's like the main power of the whole world, I believe.
Okay, good. That's
quite important. It's quite important to the story.
Yeah. So none of us are particularly deep into Elden Ring, so we're not going to spend much time on it discussing.
I've played the most.
Yeah, but I think that the thing we're going to talk about mainly is it's billed as the biggest like additional content for Elden Ring, but it's also dropping it at £34.99 for UK people and $39.99 for US markets. It's a beefy price tag for DLC. Chris, where do you sit on value versus I guess cost for this?
It's expensive, but I think Elden Ring, with all its plaudits and Game of the Year winning thing, they could have charged probably 50, 60 quid for this and people would buy it. Like, if you're into it, more of the same is great. I think it's not for me. Richie's not a DLC person to begin with, but I think if you are one of those people who picked up Elden Ring and that's all you played the other year, this is probably like a dream come true to you, so you're going to pay it
if
regardless.
If you're still playing Elden Ring regularly, which a lot of people are, what's 35 quid?
Yeah,
Cost of hell, cheaper than, more expensive than Helldivers, Richie.
Yeah. But if you're not playing Helldivers and you're playing Elden Ring, then
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to drop a couple of facts just because we don't have much in terms of opinions to share on this one.
I've took down the first boss.
Well done, Richie. Well, you'll be
on camera.
Well, in that case, you'll be glad to hear there's going to be 10 additional boss fights in the DLC, which takes part in a completely...
That's only £3.49 per boss.
Yeah, right. It's not bad value. It's on an entirely new map, which is larger than Limgrave, which I assume is the original.
There's the main one, yeah.
Setting, right? Okay, cool. You've got 8 new weapon categories. Difficulty isn't slouching compared to the original game as well, so you're going to be challenged in the same way you expect to from the base game. There's no additional lore from like the George R.R. Martin, who did the kind of the original, I guess, world building for it. But it is going to lead into things he's already prepared in his past tenure. And then the final thing is field and dungeon areas are, I guess, more seamlessly connected. Because I know that was one of the very few criticisms of the past game, which is you could definitely tell when you were entering dungeons as opposed to the open world. So for your Elden Ring fans, there's a lot to go after. $34.99. When's the release date for this, actually?
Based on what you've just said, I think that's actually quite a bargain. If it's pretty much as big, if not bigger, than the original game, has substantial bosses plus other content, and general some quality of life improvements, that feels like an absolute bargain, really, to be honest.
It seems like good value, and it's coming June 2024 for Elden Ring fans. Another good value title, which you'll no doubt have heard us talking about, even playing for the past couple of weeks on our live streams, is Helldivers 2. So, in terms of blow-ups for this game, I don't think I've seen hype for a game like that seemingly came a bit out of nowhere, to be honest. Like
Palworld.
Palworld to a degree, but I think that's
Palworld's for kids.
Yeah, and it's a free title as well. Well, GamePass free, should we say? But Helldivers 2 is just kind of, me and Chris talked about on the stream last week, where we did the first stream when it initially dropped, and then in that week between live streams, it just blew up in popularity like nothing I've seen for a long time. The milestones it's reached, it kind of exceeded GTA 5's concurrent Steam players, which is still an achievement despite that game being however old it is now. I particularly experienced a lot of server issues once it kind of hit peak popularity. There was a couple of days where I couldn't get on during peak times. I had to resort to actually playing during the workday. So
I have a potential cheat for that. I was listening to another podcast earlier in the week, and apparently if you just join, instead of booting up the game, you just join someone else's game, and then you just bail, you get straight in.
Yeah, that was a workaround, particularly for PlayStation.
Yeah.
But the lucky thing is now, so they hit 450,000 concurrent players, which is
on Steam alone. That's not including PlayStation 5, which is its
ridiculous
main
thing. But they've increased server capacity now to 700,000, and they also implemented a kick system, because I know particularly on PlayStation you could put your console in rest mode and you effectively still stayed on the server. But yeah, so like they've added kind of some improvements in that regard. But me and Chris live streamed this yesterday at the time of recording, so Friday. It was just after the new patch dropped, and I got in without any issue at all on peak time on a Friday night. Chris, I think you were the same, and performance just seemed really, really strong. So yeah, all the success for Helldivers 2. I know me and Chris have a blast at it every single time we play on it.
Yeah, we got absolutely shit mixed almost with automatons when we dropped in. It was unbelievable. We had a full force squad. Sarge was there, Lee was there, the audience was there. and they just kept dropping on us like 10 minute after 10 minute after 10 minute. We couldn't even breathe. We were trying to evacuate scientists. I think we ended up with like 3 for the first 20 minutes. And then by the time we finally got a hold on the base, we finally got some more out evacuated. But we all died before the end. We didn't evac, but the chaos and fun that comes from this game just cannot be understated. Yeah. Just absolute madness. And yeah, I hope it keeps getting bigger, because I think the more success it has, the more legs it has in terms of just like length this can go. Like, I'd love this to become like another, like the next Apex Legends, where just everyone's playing it constantly. There's season content, skins, because I think because I'm in on it, and it's not. I think it's like, there, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's happened. Yeah, same. And then I think what Richie, you were saying on last week's show, because I did listen, about it not doubling down on. There's no PvP. It's not aggressive on microtransactions. It's like, it's the dev. Everything he says about it is totally right. Like, you have to earn the respect to monetize. And I think that approach has put them in such good stead with the fan base, the reviewers, the scores. Like, even imagine if they'd gone the other way, all the server issues would have killed this game dead. But I think it's got such goodwill garnered. It seemingly can survive anything. It could go offline for 3 days, and I think it would still be fine when it came back.
I think so. Yeah, I even saw a petition to bring the game to Xbox, like an actual serious. I think it was one of the ones that like the US. Congress has to consider like to bring this to Xbox, which seems insane.
And again, we should say like the Steam numbers, but this is PlayStation's first day and date launch, like essentially multi-platform. And in a way, after all that discussion we had at the beginning of the show about Xbox going multi-platform, this could be the first big win for Sony. Just go, you know what? Forget, like, let's put it on Xbox. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And like, again, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. But yeah, the more players you get in this game, the better. And I think to what Richie touched, I know we keep giving you shit over it, Richie, but it's when it goes on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or something, and you do finally jump in with us, like you'll see the truth with freedom, democracy, and peace.
I get why he's enjoying it. That's the thing. It's just not something I particularly want to play myself.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. I was going to let you off the hook then, and then you put me off my cab. What was I going to say?
So it's not like I'm saying it's a bad. This is the thing. It's not like I'm saying it's a bad game. I'm looking at it and going, I'd rather play something else.
I know, but I forgot.
If it was I was going to be nice
to you then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's gone. It's gone. So just double down them.
I stand by my decision. So
it's okay, Richie.
I think you said about playing.
And you could just.
I think it was something when you'd said about playing with other people online, and I think I was like listening to the podcast, and I was like, it's not like that at all. I was like, you literally. I've played with so many strangers, and no one says anything. Everyone just does the objective, cracks on with the mission, and it's like there's no chat whatsoever.
Then I don't need them there.
Oh, you
do need them there. But either way, one day we'll get to it. But happy to see it thrive, and I'm sure me and Rob will be jumping at some point.
If it comes to PlayStation Plus, I'll consider playing it.
Yeah.
And a happy little bonus as well is more people are getting exposed to the Starship Troopers franchise, which holds such a dear place in my heart for growing up. And the fact that people are actually discovering like the original movie. Don't watch the other movies, just watch the original. Discovering what you call it, Prime Denise Richards as well is always.
I was going to say, it's worth it just for Denise Richards.
Yeah, so
and Diz. There's a specific scene with Diz that you need to go back and watch in the tent. Just saying.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, but good wholesome 18 rated fun.
Come on, you guys were talking about eating each other 10 minutes ago, so.
Yeah, but apparently
Starship Troopers gets a pass.
Mild nudity is a bigger deal than cannibalism in most.
Apparently so.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
There's a weird vibe tonight.
It's because we're recording late on a Saturday. That's why. If we had alcohol, it would be a lot weirder.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I've run out.
Oh dear.
Okay, let's finish up and round up a couple of quick stories here. So, super surprise launch on Game Pass recently. Dead Island 2 just out of nowhere. Like, I just did not expect this to happen, and dropped. It's there. No fanfare, it just kind of landed. This was a game I wasn't expecting much from, and the actual reviews came in a bit more positive than I think anybody expected, to be honest. So it feels like a title I'm going to jump into once I've freed up some gaming budget, to be honest, in terms of time. What about you guys?
I played Dead Island 2. I actually was sent a code by PlayOn So there's a first look up on the channel of me playing it when it launched originally. I played it on the PlayStation 5, so I actually own this and have played it, and I had a great time with it. But similar to when I've played the previous Dead Island game, Riptide, Dying Light, after a while, you guys both know I'm not really the first person kind of guy, and it's something about not being the character is just lost to me, although it has a really good streak of humour through it, and I think everyone was surprised this game did well. But yeah, for it to just like randomly shadow drop after we got the blog post describing February's Game Pass games, and they were actually the biggest game that should have been on the list wasn't even on the list. It's a huge win. It's a great win for the end of February. So definitely go play it, go check it out, because you'll really enjoy it. It's just wacky zombie fun.
Yeah, I think it's something I'm definitely going to look into. What about yourself, Richie?
I've actually just been looking for reviews, and apparently it's not out on PC yet. It comes on PC on the 22nd of April.
Oh.
Which is, that
Weird.
was genuinely surprised. That's why I just chucked that in there. I'm not bothered, to be honest. It's a nice addition to the library, and if I'm ever stuck between games, I might kind of see it. Like Alan Wake, how recently I jumped into Alan Wake based on Chris's recommendation. I was just flicking through the library for something short to just kill some time on.
Yeah.
So it might be what it for me. It'll fall in that category. If I see it, I might go, you know what, I fancy it. I could give it an evening, and if I like it, then I might play a bit more. If I don't, it's fine. Yeah, I like the fact it's coming to Game Pass for that reason.
Yeah, true. And if you don't like that title, there is a couple more drops coming from the late February like Xbox Game Pass title like reveal, which I can never keep track of the schedule of when games get released on. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It's so much.
Yeah.
They drop when they drop with Game Pass.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
With PlayStation Plus, you have your start of the month ones where it's like, these are your claimable ones, and the mid-month drop tends to be like, if you got extra or premium.
Yeah.
The library titles.
Yeah.
Game Pass just drops when it drops.
Yeah, but we've got Return to Grace, we've got Tales of Arise, which I know, Richie, you're kind of interested in.
Yeah.
Bluey the video game, like
Bluey.
whatever.
I'm Bluey now, lads.
Man-Eater, Madden NFL 24, which if you're a sports fan probably is a big drop for you. Indivisible, never heard of that. Space Engineers and Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun, which I think is the one I'll check out at some point.
I thought you two would be both checking out Man-Eater after the conversation earlier on.
That was all Rob. I was the victim in that conversation. Literally.
Yeah, let me just I'll save that one to library. But those titles are all dropping between some are live now, and with the exclusion of Warhammer, they'll all be online by the end of the month for you. So check them out if you need something additional to play.
My recommendation, if you like your action-focused JRPGs, Tales of Arise is a good game. Play it.
Yeah, go for it. Now, I want to close out we've got two more things to cover. We've had a podcast question, sitting in the wings for a while, which we'll answer as the final note. Now, before we go into that, I just want to kind of discuss the contrast between game success and game falling and doing terribly amongst what we typically class as smaller indie studios versus the big players. So, representing the big players, we've got Skull and Bones, which even as a free trial has failed to pass 1 million players, which for a game which is however long in the making, for the world's first quadruple title to fall this hard, I feel is not quite living up to expectations. What's also not living up to expectations, according to Warner Brothers' financial team, which this is going to be the understatement of the century, Suicide Squad falls short of Warner Brothers' expectations. Who knew? I mean, who could possibly anticipate this game not living up to expectations? And to kind of pin home the point, the Helldivers, the original isometric game, has more concurrent players than Suicide Squad has.
Oh, the original.
Like, this is...
That just says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, like, Chris, you shared the screenshot in our
I don't
chat.
think...
It was brutal.
I don't think I would have guessed that, to be honest.
Yeah. So we have those two titles which have performed abysmally from the big hitters, the big stalwarts of the studios, who are charging $70 for those titles. And then we have Helldivers 2, which is breaking records left, right, and centre. And we also have Palworld, which reached 25 million players in its first month. So I don't know. This feels like maybe like a renaissance for the AA's and the indies, like titles.
What I think this is for me. Yeah, there is always that, but I think as a Suicide Squad just never looked good, to be honest. I don't from the original concept just never looked like a good game, and it felt like the games as a service things kind of almost played out. It feels like 10 years too late to get in on it. And Suicide Squad as an IP's never really landed well. Mm-hmm. Skull and Bones, we've talked about that to depth. Palworld came out the gate doing something unique and kind of unique and interesting, even if it is kind of a Pokemon rip-off in places. Mm-hmm. It's still doing a thing that is distinct from that has something that's appealing to people. Same with Helldivers, where Skull and Bones just doesn't have the quality for a £70 game. Suicide Squad just looks off the shelf. Games as a service with a failing DC IP attached to it. So I'm not surprised by any of this at all. No. I'm surprised that Helldivers 1 it's got more players.
Hey, that's just hilarious. That the best comment on Reddit as well is this is funny because technically the Helldivers are a Suicide Squad.
Yeah, true.
Their sole job is going to the planet and you will die and you'll sacrifice yourself for freedom, democracy, etc. There's something definitely to be said, isn't there, about in today's current economic climate, price point as well. $34.99. And what was Palworld? $24.99.
Yeah.
As opposed to two £70 AAA titles. Seemingly, people are willing to pay half that price for a game that's maybe not as well polished. But again, if the gameplay is fun, then I don't think graphics matter in today's world.
If you're dropping the game for £70, you expect £70 quality. Mm-hmm. And I think again, Sony's first party titles, I think have redefined what the expectations of that AAA quality is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're falling well short of that in terms of not necessarily graphics, but the enjoyment you get from the game, then you shouldn't be serving it up at that price point. That's it must suck for Warner Brothers and Ubisoft, but they both feel like companies that are chasing trends rather than setting them.
Agreed.
Where Helldivers took an IP and redefined it, and Palworld took an IP,
give it guns,
reskinned a few things, given them guns, and stuck it in a survival game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just shows you.
It shows what succeeds, and it's actually focusing on the game as opposed to this behemoth of a development cycle. So
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is looking like it's going to be the biggest title this year. Do either them titles, Suicide Squad or Skull and Bones, stand anywhere close to that game?
No, not even in the same room.
There you go. But they're the same price.
Yeah, I think that's the best comparison you can make, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Again, I think Skull and Bones, I've said in our Discord, I think if Skull and Bones was close at the £40 price, it'd get a solid community around it, because I think there is something in that game that could be enjoyable for the survival game fans. But has a survival game ever hit the £70 price point? I couldn't think of one.
No, not off the top of my head.
So survival game fans are not typically used to paying that AAA price point. And AAA gamers are looking at that game going, this isn't the quality that I expect.
Agreed. So I think, congratulations to Palworld, congratulations to Helldivers 2, commiserations for Suicide Squad and Skull and Bones. So we're going to enter the lightning round to close out the show, and it's going to be
the lightning
round. We'll make a soundbite for it if it continues. This is a question which was asked by Gary P82 from I think it was our Discord server this came through. We haven't answered it for the past couple of weeks because we haven't been on like a full roster, and I thought it fair that we all kind of pitch into this with our own takes. So, Chris, I'll start off with you. The question: obviously, you guys started this journey getting cloud gaming, and Gary P is wondering what your thoughts are of cloud gaming in 2024, and what do you hope to see happen or change throughout the year with it? personally, he wants to see Microsoft open it up so you can play own games via the cloud. That's been talked about kind of a while ago. And he'd like Sony to let you play on portable devices, which doesn't restrict you to stream on the PlayStation 5. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think he's brought up some great points himself. The part in particular about saying playing your owned cloud games. Phil Spencer actually this week answered that very question. Not in a forum, not in the official podcast. Someone messaged him directly through Xbox chat to his P3 Xbox gamer tag, and he replied via the Xbox messaging system saying, this year. So that is seemingly a thing going to be implemented this year, which it's about time because they have been going on about it for a while. And yeah, I'd completely echo his Sony allowing you to play on portable devices. Ironically enough, another side story to this week is Google engineers, of all the bastards out there to do it, hacked the PlayStation Portal and got and basically ran emulators and stuff off it. So it can play things other than that, and we all know it can play cloud gaming because it just needs it's got the internet, it just needs the browser to be open to it. I wouldn't be surprised with the Portal success. It's still selling out gangbuster numbers. I'm still on track, I believe, for this year to sell more Portals than VR2. So I think genuinely if the Portal had a push of cloud gaming by maybe mid-year heading into Christmas, I think that would give it a whole second wind of life.
I think, I said when the Portal launched, I think the fact that it is remote play only, and I use remote play a lot. Mm-hmm. It inhibits the device in a way I just don't think is necessary. If you could just play any PlayStation game that's already available on the cloud on your Portal, then you're not tying up your PlayStation. It then becomes a true second device rather than effectively a controller with a screen. Yeah.
But in terms of cloud gaming, though, I think it's staggered quite a lot. I think Amazon Luna are doing absolutely sweet FA. They had a lazy, poor year last year, and seemingly we're 2 months in. What have they got? They just keep all they do is on Twitter is just promote Fortnite every single damn week, and I'm just I'm fed up of it now. It's like, great, you've got Fortnite. That's literally all you talk about. Nothing interesting. No new countries, seemingly. No first party. Like, what? They're literally so far behind even Stadia at this point. It's becoming laughable. Yeah. So that's a poor start. I think Xbox are the champions on this at the moment. So I think it's definitely staggered, but I think it still does have a bright
GeForce
future.
Now.
Yeah, I think it's got a bright future.
I think GeForce Now, when it comes to cloud gaming, I think they're the gold standard at the moment.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't like on a premium service, even at the lower tiers, that there's still potential for queues. I know you get that in Xbox as well, and I don't like that. But with GeForce Now, I've always been critical. Where with Xbox, I'm not just paying for that; I'm paying for the full Game Pass library as well.
Yeah.
Where with GeForce Now, all I'm doing is paying for access to games that I already have purchased elsewhere. So putting a queue in it or a time limit on my playtime when I'm paying for that, for just them things, I can't get beyond that. I think they need to get rid of that. I will always be critical of it, but I do think it's the best cloud gaming service right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Despite that criticism.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to see GeForce Now kind of just refine the actual delivery of the product. I think the product's fine, it's the delivery of it. And
I think they need to redefine the UI and stuff. There's tidying up there, but for me, it's literally if they just went right in all paid tiers, you will have access to your games whenever you want or for how long ever you want. There you go. That's all I want from GeForce Now.
Yeah, and then I think I want Sony to just actually put the full body into like the into cloud. Like,
they do well with their streaming stuff. Like I last week jumped into Resistance Retribution, which was the PSP port that came off because the option was there to just like stream it. It's just like, oh, you open the game page up and just go stream. Same with Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace, the PS1 classic. It was just there and it was like, oh, download or stream. And I was like, I'm only going to probably play it for half an hour to an hour. Stream? Well, great.
In recent times, I've actually had better performance out of PlayStation and Xbox and cloud gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just limited to the console still, which is like why you've got those barriers up when you don't need them. Put it on PC browsers better. Put it on the Portal. Put it on mobile phones and stop limiting yourself by keeping it all internal.
And on mobile phones, open up to third-party controllers. I am not buying another... I've got a Razer Kishi. I don't want to buy a PlayStation-specific backbone so I can play through... That I don't like that gatekeeping. It's like, just let me play your games on the device I own. Without having to buy additional your branded hardware.
Not with
I
Sony.
don't like that.
You will play on your Xperia Viao Bravia console controller, Richie.
No, but the thing is, I stand by, like, that's probably the best way to play. Mm-hmm. If you're buying the PlayStation branded backbone and you're getting their new earbuds and stuff, that'll be the best way to play. But let me use the stuff I already own.
Yeah. Fair.
You're closing people off by forcing them to buy new hardware when the cloud gaming is meant to remove restrictions of hardware. But yeah.
Just as a side note to cloud gaming there, the irony of I just give Amazon Luna loads of shit, and on our channel, our first look when we played Fortnite on Amazon Luna, just randomly out of nowhere, this is a video that's like 7-8 month old, just got a comment, someone asking what is the frames per second on this.
It's like, just don't bother, dude. Just don't bother.
That was when Richie couldn't even get...
for me it was about 30 seconds after I pressed a button.
Richie couldn't even get it to frickin' run at all. The irony.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to... Well, yeah, Gary, thanks for the question. Sorry it took a while to answer that, but hopefully that's sparked a bit of debate. I'm
still optimistic about the future of cloud gaming. It feels like it's in a bit of a lull because none of the big stakeholders are kind of just sitting on it a bit. And there's no... Google are not upsetting things. Luna are not upsetting things. GeForce Now feels like it's got its carved out its niche. There's nothing else pushing it hard at the moment.
Yeah, there's annoying restrictions. I know we're going long, everyone, but you're in it for the 400th episode, so congratulations. Did you see this week Diablo that was announced as coming to Game Pass and Xbox for free isn't going to have a cloud version because of the CMA the British CMA ruling on cloud gaming. So it's on Game Pass. It's there to play.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, you can't play it because CMA, obviously, they outsourced this cloud deal to Ubisoft. So basically, we're trusting Ubisoft to get this running on cloud. So you can't play Diablo
I trust
via
Ubisoft
cloud.
with that.
Yeah, but it's taking longer, which is like, it's not there at launch, which is like, now do we have to wait another random 3 months until it goes into cloud, which is someone who plays a lot of day one stuff.
I think it's worth their time.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it, CMA. Screwing us all over. Not that I was going to play Diablo, but again, interesting to Gary's question. I feel like there's 3 relevant stories that happened this week that actually directly fed into his answers. So yeah, great question and kind of a good thing we held on to it for 2 weeks. So keep writing in on Discord and we will get to them eventually once we've devoured Richie's limbs.
So thank you, Gary. Let's close off very, very quickly since we're pushing.
Longest show ever.
Yeah. So this day in gaming.
Yes.
I'm looking at the list. The only one there for me is obviously Gex Enter the Gecko 26 years ago.
Save the Gecko hashtag. He's got to be a due a remaster soon. Yeah. 26 years. Come on, Square Enix. Yeah.
And then a distant second is that stupid tale Silent Hill. Who cares
Silent
about?
Hill.
Compared to Gex Enter the Gecko, who gives a shit about Silent Hill?
Legend.
Elden Ring. 2 years ago tomorrow, so that'll be the 25th.
Wow. Not quite Gex, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight, 7 years ago. Where the hell's Silk Song? I feel like Silk Song's been... 7 years. We've been waiting 7 years for a sequel to Hollow Knight, which is mad. I doubt we're going to see a follow-up to the Mario and Sonic 2016 Rio Olympics.
Yeah,
the Nintendo... Right. 7 years ago on Monday, which is the day of release, the Nintendo 3DS. What a fantastic piece of console. Yeah. Love the 3DS.
So there's your delve into gaming history. That's where we're going to end the show. So thank you very much for staying tuned for what's coming on to 1 hour and 45 minutes. If you remember, you have to comment to have a chance to win that t-shirt. So if you haven't already, do it quickly.
Peace. Democracy.
Peace,
democracy. What was the other one? Freedom.
And I've even worn the t-shirt now. So
that
could be
that increases or decreases the value.
That could be a pro or a negative depending on your thoughts. So I won't wear it for long. I'll take it off now.
So enjoy that opportunity and thank you very much for staying and watching. My name's been Rob.
I've been Richie.
Go gobble those limbs, everyone. I've been Chris.
Gobble, gobble.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.